Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we bring you another fine episode of Conversations with Vin. And today we're going to do things a little different. Usually we focus strictly on the band, the performance. But today we have a few more layers to the onion, per se. And what I've done here today is, ladies and gentlemen, I brought Josh Balz. And what I've done for our sit down is I broke it down into two parts.
Love that.
So we're going to hit part one, and that's going to roll us right into part two.
Easy.
So thank you again
You're
for
very
bringing
welcome.
us on board. And
I'm happy because I get to eat ice cream.
can
while
we cheers before we start and say successful building? I had a moment before we began filming to walk around and see the businesses and see the renovations, and this is amazing.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
We're going to talk a little bit about it, but let me just put a little of this in my mouth.
We're going to take a lot. I'm sure we'll take a lot of ice cream breaks with
Absolutely.
Which is fair.
You'll talk and I'll eat ice cream, and then I'll talk and you'll eat ice cream. So that's, it works out perfect. All right.
Nothing more metal than ice cream.
Here we go. Part one. Josh Balz, the musician.
Yeah.
What did you see or hear that made you say, I want to be a professional musician?
Honestly, it was my father. I mean, I remember I used to have this huge sound system. It was like, back in the day when it was like a full console. Nowadays it's...
I'm 45.
If it's this big, it's louder than most systems back then. But I remember walking downstairs one day and Black Sabbath was playing and just hearing just this, and I was probably I was really young.
Do you remember the song or album by any chance?
I don't. That's the crazy thing is I just remember the ominous of the records that my dad used to play. But I remember coming downstairs and learning who Black Sabbath was, and then finding out who Led Zeppelin was, and Pink Floyd, and then keep growing and growing and growing. But it was honestly my father. My dad was super he said, you don't want to get into music? And we went to yard sales, used equipment, because I didn't have much money growing up. So it was just, my father was a very pivotal point, very supportive of me doing the dumbest thing in my life, which was become a musician.
That's really cool, because you feel some people who didn't, grow up in the upper class, it's hard for their parents to support the arts.
Yeah.
Because the arts are expensive usually.
And they don't make any money.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So now, next question. I want to hit the hot topic. I want to go back to 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
You stepped back on stage after 7 years.
Yeah, wild.
Tell us what that felt like, what you saw, what your emotions were inside you.
There was a lot of emotions, honestly. I didn't even think we were going to do it.
So this is unplanned. This is spur of the moment, per se.
Very unplanned. Very a few weeks before the show, a couple weeks before the show, Chris called me and we were just having a conversation and, talking about, I thought it was 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
I was like, oh, it's been a couple of years. And he's like, no, it's been 7. And I went, holy shit. And then he was just he's like, I know you're busy. October's your season, blah, blah, blah. He's like, what would you like to play? That feeling is crazy because I pushed that out of my brain tenfold. Just was like, fuck this. I'm bitter. I hate music. I don't want to play it anymore, blah, blah, blah.
It happens, right?
But stepping on that stage, I came up out of an elevator to be on top and to hear 9,000 people screaming when I hit the top of that platform.
It's energy.
Was the most full I've felt in a long time. Because that void has been missing in my life. So very incredible situation, very emotional situation. But being 35, I missed it for the first time in a long time, which was a catch-22. Because now I'm like, God damn it.
I have all these other responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was a great feeling, and I feel very happy to have done it. And it really fill the void that I've been missing for so long. So it was very awesome.
And to do it hometown, locally, makes that even
Huge.
more cooler.
And I only had to drive 10 minutes down the road to get on stage.
Right, exactly. So has it always been the keyboards for Josh?
No. My first band I sang in when I was...
Okay. Straight lead singer, not
straight lead singer. I was 14, I think. My first band was named Belvedere. We sucked. Played a bunch of local shows. We were terrible.
That's how they all start, right?
But I had a bunch of equipment, and I always liked playing the keyboard. It was very I love classical music and regular, and I love synth. I think it's super entertaining. So it kind of just fell into my lap. It was just one of those things where the growth of a keyboard player in a band just kind of like came out of nowhere. Like Under Oath, The Devil Wears Prada,
absolutely.
Drop Dead Gorgeous, all these bands. It just happened. So
you can go back to the 90s. I mean, you have 9 Inch Nails. You have
Nails, and
bands like that are premiering these keyboards for the first time.
So
right?
now it's like it's a new relevant thing in the cog of the wheel, and and I was hanging out with Emotionless guys, and we just kind of it clicked, and it was great. So keyboard just kind of fell in my lap.
Was that your still when you were a child and your father was supporting you? Were your keyboards then as well?
I had a keyboard then, and that's when I started dabbling in the old in the keyboards.
To go back to that, commend your father, because keyboards is not
a metal thing,
and it's not cheap. You know,
I had a shitty Casio. Like it wasn't a nice. It wasn't. He wouldn't give me piano lessons. He refused to get me guitar lessons. He refused, but he's like, here's this piece of shit keyboard. Here's this piece of shit guitar.
Be successful with this.
That worked. It worked. It got me to a point of like it all panned out.
Well, that's pretty cool. What is a goal you set as a musician that you accomplished?
I don't know.
None. You didn't set any.
Because I never thought it would be anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we did it to do it. It was never like, I want to do this or I want to do that. It was never, and that's why I think Motionless is so successful.
Yeah. Just went with the flow.
It was always with the flow. Mm-hmm. There was never like whatever. And then things would happen and we'd be like, we don't deserve this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were on MTV.
It kept you humble.
Crazy. Like, to be a metal band, well, back then, I don't know, we were whatever the hell we were. To be on MTV, we never thought that would happen, but that's a huge milestone that like most people then and even now would want to be a part of.
Do you remember what show it was?
It was, we were on Headbangers Ball.
Nice.
We did a Fuse thing with, I think it was.
Wait, when you were in Headbangers Ball, was that when Josto was host?
No. I wish.
That was like the best year
that
when Josto was there,
right? It was right at the end. Was Josto? I don't remember. I think it was 2009, maybe. I'm old. But yeah, I mean, there's the things like even selling out our hometown arena, like we always wanted to do that, and that happened 2 weeks ago. So like checking that off the box and things like that, or like playing in a different country, like we did that a ton. Like that's what we wanted to do. We wanted experiences, and it gave us that, which was very wonderful. But yeah, we were never a band that was like, we're going to sell out the arena. It was like, hey, that'd be cool if that happened. But it was never forced.
Or if this just happened, now let's sit and be part of that.
100%.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It was very cool.
So all that, as Josh Balz, the musician, that's what's going to take us now into part 2 of this interview. Josh Balz, the businessman.
The idiot. Idiot times 2.
So you'll have a lot of opportunities to talk about that. I have quite a few questions. When you transitioned from touring musician to business mogul, did you have a plan, or did this happen organically?
See, I have a plan for absolutely nothing. Anybody that's watching any of this, I have zero plans, zero organization. I am hand in hand the dumbest human being that's ever existed. So, in retrospect, I do things because I get not necessarily bored, but like it just was like when I started the Strange Unusual when I was in Motionless, it was great because I loved oddities. I loved the weird. I loved the macabre. So I was just like, well, I want to be a part of this world. And it grew into collecting. And I got a ton of shit. And I was like, what do I do with all this stuff? And I was touring so much. I was like, well, I should probably get rid of some of this stuff. And then that's where the store came from. So it was out of like just sheer like, hey, I should just do this. It sounds fun. And that grew into, opening a cafe. I was like, well, I like drinking coffee. Coffee's cool. Like, I would love to sit down on my computer or on the phone and drink coffee somewhere that's not my house.
Right.
Cafe. And then I always wanted to, I don't drink. I'm super straight edge. Like I've never done drugs, never drank alcohol, but I always wanted to go to a place and hang out that had that kind of atmosphere of, hustle bustle. All the bars around here are more like college-y, and I didn't want to like deal with that. So I was like, I want to do this goth night thing. And that's when it stemmed into like, oh, I want to have fun, have a bunch of like-minded people, goth night, boom. And it did very well. And then it became like so successful nights that turned into, I should try to open a bar. And then and then COVID happened, and it was
that all here?
all here.
Mm-hmm.
I had a store in Philadelphia as well, Strange Unusual,
Mm-hmm.
but it was also, Noir became. Then I was like, oh, we'll make it a dive bar. And then COVID happened, and then you had to serve food to be able to serve alcohol for a hot minute, and that became. I turned into a restaurant, which I knew nothing about the food industry. Nothing.
There we go.
And it was just like
survival, right?
survival of the fittest. And now it's, we're one of the most popular restaurants in the state, and also I have one of the best chefs and great employees, and it's crazy what it's grown into. And it's like now it's grown into like I was on the line last night cooking. Like I would have never known that I would be not
survival.
So
do you credit some of that survival to going back to your upbringing and
100%.
Mm-hmm.
I was always survival mode, like being poor, trailer park. You survived. Like, do you want a bicycle? You got to go work and figure it out and go get a bicycle.
And take
like,
care of it. Somebody's gonna steal it.
or something. Yeah, listen, I've had so much stuff stolen. So yeah, I mean that was a big thing. Is like, it's survival of the fittest, and that's how I've been every single day of my life is survival. Like, today we had some employees call off, and like 17 phone calls, important. I have to figure that out. You survive, you figure it out. So every day of my life is figuring it out, and there can never be a perfect day. There's never been like I wake up, have a nice day, and go to bed. It's like I wake up, someone punches me straight in the fucking face.
Deal with this. Deal with that.
I get pushed over, and then I can go to bed after getting beaten. And because I mean, it's my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Root Beer Company, the Ritz Theater, Noir, a landlord, Strange and Unusual, Strange Brew. Have a couple other properties and stuff like that. It's like I did it to myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no one to blame but myself. So at the end of the day, it's like I can't turn that off, or I can't be like, this is your fault. I'm like, I have to look in the mirror and go, you're a fucking idiot. You did this to yourself.
You created this self. Exactly.
Welcome to hell.
Well, let that lead into this next question then.
Sure.
What is good business advice you have received, and from who?
Great business advice I've gotten pretty recently is actually from my friend who is one of the owners of Black Cow, which is the ice cream shop we're in.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Zach Neal. And recently my mother passed away, and a whole new light has shed. Like I'm like the kind of guy that's like, yes, whatever you need.
When did your mother pass?
A couple months ago.
Sorry to hear that.
It sucked. But it took away my rose-colored glasses. And everyone started to fucking annoy me. And I'm like, I called him and I was like, does this seem weird? Like, am I just annoyed because my mother passed away? He's like, no, you're annoyed because you're seeing the world as it is because your rose-colored glasses are gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so difficult in business to not wear rose-colored glasses where I trust absolutely everybody. And that's to a fault. And I'm way too nice. So he just said, you need to view the world in plain glasses, not rose-colored glasses every day.
Time out. You spent all that time in the music industry and you still trusted everybody?
Everybody. I trust
Holy moly,
everybody.
buddy.
But I also, I've had great luck. And
okay, that's good to hear,
People have treated me very well over that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've gotten fucked in the past many times, but still, I still turn that knob and go, people are still good. People are still good.
Mm-hmm.
And it took my father has passed away years ago, and that was in the middle of COVID, so I didn't really get to see the world while in that grievance. Where it's like recently when my mother passed away, it was I want to fucking punch everybody in the face. I want to fire everybody. I want to burn the buildings to the ground.
Yeah, I understand.
It got crazy. So that was one of the best pieces of business advice I ever got, was sometimes you have to see the world not in rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
It's tough. It sucks.
Yeah. Your business portfolio, is it like children? Daddy loves you all the same, but wink, wink, you're my favorite. But is there all the same there?
They're all the same because they're every business I own are an extension of me. You'll never see me do something that doesn't reflect what
That's a lot of pride.
Yeah, I'm proud of everything, and that's why you'll notice there's details in everything that are directly like noir looks like it does because it's an extension of me. If you went to my house is black. I have
I saw
oddities
that.
everywhere.
You
Yeah, so
posted
it's
that
like,
before. I saw
you
that.
know, the Ritz has a touch of, I love Art Deco and I love macabre and I love Victorian era and Craftsman era and things like that. Like, it's a reflection of me. Strange, the same thing. Like, if you go into Strange and you go into my house, you like, it's the same fucking thing. Like, so every business, and like even down to Parlor, like Parlor Root Beer, on the branding itself, tattooed, Hot Rod World, like that's who I am. So it's every business that I start is just a reflection. It's like, honestly, it's like every business is just my house. It's like, all right, I have to,
Well, then you feel comfortable at where you're at work,
yeah,
right? Because we spend so much time there. We
I
need to
can
be comfortable.
spend 6 years in this building and feel comfortable. Same thing with Strange. Same thing with like, it's a part. They're all a part of me.
I'll tell you this: first impressions, right? So you were like, "Hey, we have to change the time a little bit," and I was like, "No problem. We'll just go in and check it out." I opened the door and just it was overwhelming. We were like, "This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing what I'm walking into."
And we're not even done yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're ever changing, ever expanding, and it's gonna become something very special over the next, months, years, decades.
Well, what is the most challenging thing when you are popular and a business owner?
I wish I was popular. That sounds nice. That doesn't really affect me at all.
Good.
mean, if people come and they want a picture, I take a picture with them.
Mm-hmm.
If people want to do interviews, like 9 times out of 10, it's a yes, because I was in a position where they were at before. So if a kid comes in and wants a picture, I knew when I was younger, and if I saw someone that I always like looked up to, I treat everybody how I want to be treated.
Right.
And that comes with every aspect of being popular to being a business owner. And it facilitates not like nicely. Like, those people will follow me to the end of time. Like, when I opened the doors of Noir, we were sold out for 6 months straight. When I opened Strange in 2013, there was a snowstorm and there was people at the front door.
Amazing.
Like, those people are like who keep me surviving. If it wasn't for those people, I would have nothing.
Right. And this wouldn't be how you would be making your 100%. Living.
So I'd never negatively put anybody. There's times when I'm busy when I'm like, hey, I'll be back, and then I never come back. Mm-hmm. It's not like, hey, fuck you. It's like I got to go plunge a toilet and I might not come back.
Got to get through all these other challenges that have to be
or a band is loading in.
Right.
Sometimes I'll forget. And I also have a mind of a small crustacean. So it just goes right out the door. So it's always, if you've talked to anybody that's ever met me that in a light of they think that I'm popular, it will always be the same answer of like, he treats me like a normal human being.
From the time you and I began communicating about this Norma Jean show tonight, you've been nothing but professional to us, and you definitely have a friend in our
company.
Which
is crazy because you did it in fall, which I'd never answer anybody. Like, it's very...
It was a feeling, right? Maybe I need to answer this guy.
Slim to none of like, when September hits and October hits, leave me alone.
Right.
And it's just one of those things, like, you just caught it at the right time where I was like, reading something and doing something. So, but usually I'll respond and do that stuff and be very like, again, I know what it takes to grow companies and grow things. I know how important just little cogs in a wheel are, like interviewing the Gideon guys or the non-point guys. And like, most people will say, no, why? They sit around all fucking day and do nothing.
They're like, we're very happy to talk to you. Let's fill some time.
Take some time out of your day. And I understand that sometimes it's overwhelming, but I try to be realistic and understand that, like, if your show becomes the most popular thing in the entire world,
right?
Hopefully I was a minute little help in that, and then that you come back and we do things together. Like, it's
absolutely,
everyone feeds off each other's energy.
Absolutely. I can feel that.
So it's nice. It's good.
We got one closing questions here.
What is this? Is it dangerous?
This is a big one. Why such a passion in economically and artistically building this area of Scranton specifically?
I don't know. I fucking have no idea. That's not true. I really love this area. I mean, this area lets me do whatever the fuck I want. They let me have fun. They let me open things that and don't bother me, and they support it. Like this area, everyone thinks everybody's shitheads, and like, and some of them are. But when you do something that really benefits the community, they're the first people to root you on, and it's fucking incredible. Like, or if I went to and did this in New York
Do you
City,
feel that comes with the steel mill and the
I think so.
background of that
I think so, and
coal
like
mining?
supporting your family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a part of their family; they're a part of my family, and I think if I did something like this in the city, I'd get lost. No one would give a fuck.
You did in the right area.
Same thing. All the thing is like this area gives a fuck if you give them something to give a fuck about.
Wait, time out. Isn't this the theater that George Burns made the famous quote about?
Yes. What was the quote? If you can
Make it in
in
Scranton.
you can make it anywhere.
There you go.
So hey, write that down.
We're going to close on that. If you can make it in Scranton, you can make it anywhere. And this man has took a building that for 20 years was underused or not used at all and has made it into an amazing facility. So I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Was an awesome time. This ice cream was absolutely fucking phenomenal, by the way. I
Perfect.
want everybody to know that. So
Life is good.
can we throw our horns up?
Yes.
This has been Josh Balz. Thank you very much. Conversation with Vin.